So I did. I got it right. I know that, man. Hey, well, today's going to be great because you're closing 8 units this month, and just seeing great results. Part of the membership with the mortgage marketing animals, and I said, man, let's jump on a podcast. I've got Greg Kohlhagen with us today, and
Right.
we've been. So I thought, just tell us your story. What are you doing to see success? Because really. Your goal has been to get from a couple loans a month to double digits, and you're well on your way. And so, Greg, I just thought, let's just take a minute. Let's talk about your story, your journey, and what you're doing right now in the market to see the results that you're seeing, man. I think it's fantastic. So, welcome to the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast.
Steve, I'm really excited to be with you and thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
When you reached out about this, I like really thought about where I was when I came to MMA versus
Yeah.
where I am now, and even
Yeah.
like what I shared on Breakfast Club this morning. I mean, things have changed for me fundamentally. So,
Yeah.
um, I came from a space, just a quick background. I was a realtor for 15 years,
Okay.
and I actually ended up being pretty successful. But in COVID, I ended up switching sides. It's a long story. We can dive into that another time. But when I did that, the biggest mistake I made as a realtor is I didn't have any coaching, training,
Yeah.
wasn't part of a community. And that's
Yeah.
really what I want to focus on today, if we have time. Because when I came to MMA, I'd actually tried as a lender. I've been in the business now for this is my fourth year in the business. And when I first joined, I joined looking for coaching. I joined
Yeah.
looking for sales training, and I didn't
Yeah.
find MMA until 18 months ago.
Wow.
And that was through Breakfast Club. I didn't join MMA until about 11 months ago, 10 months ago now.
Yeah.
And and then when I did that, it changed the course of my career. So when I
Wow.
joined MMA, I was at 1.8 deals a month
Yeah.
average,
Yeah.
right? It was enough to survive, but it was really a disappointment considering
Right.
I made this big move. And as you just said, this month I'm closing eight.
That's
And
great, man.
it's not eight small deals either.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
really,
it's a
really
game
excited.
changer. It changes the trajectory of your finances. It gives you freedom. Hey, let's do this. Let's talk about this because you've been in sales. So you were a real estate agent. Now on the lending side, what are some of the things that are helping you? Because look, to get to 8 units a month, and let's just be real clear with everybody. You can trip up on one or two, but you don't trip up on eight. It's more of a process and more of what you're doing. So take us through the journey, man. 11 months ago, you found like you got involved with the mortgage marketing animals. What about it? Even I love you saying, hey, the person you were a year ago versus who you are today. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So when I joined,
Yeah.
and like again, I just said like I was seeking coaching. I'd been through some other things before,
Yeah.
and it was so many things that I thought I had to do. I had to have my social
Mm.
media be on video. I had to be hosting events every month. I had to be sending out mailings. I had so many things. It was so overwhelming. It was almost just paralysis by analysis. Like, which thing could I
Mm.
focus on?
Mm. Mm.
And then also, I was just diving into my files, every fire, everything. I had no idea how to prioritize anything. And
Yeah.
the worst part about it was I thought I did. And
Mm.
so when I came to MMA, I was really exhausted with clicking heart buttons on people's social media posts, thinking that was going to get me a relationship. Or I would take a realtor out to a lunch and we'd have this incredible meeting, right? And
Yeah.
then they didn't send me business. I didn't
Mm.
know, right? Like I had what I thought were sort of like theme days, but they weren't.
Right.
It was like take a realtor out, and then based on the amount of leads they sent me was where they were in my sort of pyramid or triangle of quality of agents, right? Those top agents sending me multiple deals. And the only agents that sent me big deals were I paid thousands of dollars a month for their Zillow.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Whew. And that's a hard way to do it too, man. Because I'll never forget. I think we've all done it, but the season of it's like, man, we got all these leads, and you get all these leads month after month after month, and then you're like, but why is nothing closing? And so it's this illusion, busy work can be an illusion because it's like, man, I'm just busy, busy, busy. But it's what you'll come to find out is it's not busy, it's are you being effective?
Right.
And that's really the key. Okay, so look, you got all this stuff going on. How do you declutter the noise, and what do you start on first?
So it really helped me I talked to this guy who was in MMA with me, and he was actually in our other coaching company, and he was in both at
Yeah.
once. And so I came to LOBC, and I started seeing this, the theme days, right? And the first one
Mm,
that I focused on was something I wasn't doing.
mm,
Tuesdays. Tuesday updates changed my life.
mm.
I didn't really know who to reach out to and when. Okay. So
Yeah.
I would get a deal. I would try to keep people updated as best I could, but I didn't have a system. And this
Hmm.
was the biggest problem. There's two big problems involved in this that changed my career. Number one was that I didn't have a system, right? And number two was I wasn't asking for any business. I thought that
Got
was
it.
weird. And then the
Hmm.
the only way I knew to ask was I would have a meeting with a realtor and say, "Hey, take me for a test drive. Send me your next deal."
Yeah.
That's not the way to ask for the business, right? That's not a consistent, systematic way. So when I joined and I started with those Tuesday calls, that alone probably took me from that 1.8 deals to averaging three and a half, 4 deals a month.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was blown away. It took me like 30 days to start seeing those results. In one
Mm,
month, I started seeing that change.
yeah.
Okay. And then the next change for me, and I'll be curious what your thoughts are on this, was I started systematically reaching out to realtors I already knew, right? I was a realtor for 15 years.
That's it. Yeah.
And I was afraid to call them and say I was checking in on you. And I realized, and this was advice I'd gotten before in the Breakfast Club, and I just didn't do it, which is that just calling an agent to say hi is providing value because a relationship is value. And I wish, forgive me, sorry about that. I wish that I had known that ahead of time, that
Hmm.
that is value enough is the
Hmm.
relationship. And
Yeah.
that something I repeat to everybody is that, clarity comes through action. I learned that from you, Steve. And I
Yeah.
say it to myself when I'm afraid. That call reluctance still comes back, right? I'm four
Yeah.
years in the game. Um, but doing these things, and it's it's just the consistency. I wish I could communicate how much clarity that provided me. It was not about me doing everything perfect and dotting every I and crossing every T,
Yeah.
just doing it consistently.
Man, I love it. Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. I'd also love to hear from you. Make sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or what it is you want to see next. And we'll see you on the inside. See you. Hey, and even the power of learning how to ask for the business, in the alliance, which is something that we get the privilege of doing. One of our biggest emphasis in the coaching that we're doing, and one of the focuses that we're doing, is it's not enough just to make it look. The first step, and I always think about this like it's version one to get to version two to get to version three. Half of it is take action today. Have a plan to prospect, take action. The second part is how do we become more effective? Like in the action that we're doing, in the momentum that you're building, it's like if I can just keep tweaking the action and the activity, look, the greatest way to make a ton of money is convert more of what you've already got. And so learning the art of how to ask for the business. And here's the other thing too, Greg, measuring, are we asking for the business every time? It's so mind blowing. I was working with somebody a few weeks ago, Greg, and and they had something like 60 talk tos. And then I said, "Well, how many times you asked for the business?" "Oh, about 9." I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're going to work on that." On
Yep.
this outbound prospecting, because it's like that's your biggest opportunity is just getting okay with every conversation has an ask for the business or call to action. So I love that. Hey, well, okay. So to get from 3 to 4 to now 8, what do you think are some of the things that you've implemented? You talked about a process to prospect, which is like theme days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You talked about starting on one of the easiest days, which is the Tuesday Just Ask updates.
Right.
So what's helping you shift gears now to 8? And I believe you're going to hit double digits pretty quick. So what do you think is that? Somebody listening
Yeah.
today, it's like, man, this is really what's helping me shift from second into third gear.
Yeah. I'm really excited. You actually said it, and I want to dive
Yeah.
into it for a second.
Yeah.
I have this green pen. Okay. I hope you
Yeah.
guys can see it. Why do I have a green pen? I check off. So I write by hand. I literally every day I
Yeah.
look. It's tracking, right? That's what it's coming
Right.
down to. But this green pen
Mm,
tracks specifically when I ask for the business.
I
Okay.
love it, man.
And by doing it, right, you're going to hear me say this a lot today. Clarity comes through action. So, what do I mean for me is that when I mark this, right, I know I've done it. So, I'm not telling myself, oh, I did it a lot this week and I only did it 3 times. Like, I can
Yep.
see I made 81 dials, 63 talk tos, 46 of them I asked for the business. Right? I can tell you
Mm,
that from last week because it's written
mm,
down. The
hmm.
other thing is by doing it,
Yeah.
my confidence is through the roof. The call reluctance is not the issue anymore.
Mm,
Like even when I see a name I'm afraid to dial, like an agent that is big time,
yeah.
I'm now confident enough to say, this is Greg. I'm a student of success. I find what you're doing incredible. Can we set up half an hour so I can just learn more about you, right? And then they'll come with that first, objection. And that's if
Right.
I can get one response. And that was the next thing I struggled with. If I can just say, hey, look, I'm not looking to be your lender right now. I'm just looking to learn from the best so I can continue to become the best myself. I have a team I'm
Mm,
training.
mm.
If I learn from you, I can bring this to them.
Wow.
So this green pen changed the game. And Steve, I wanted to take a second and thank you. I mean, like the biggest obstacle I had was
Yeah.
trying to plan it all.
Mm,
I want to shout out one thing that brought my deals up these past 3 months. Because I was scared. I talked to some people over at MMA. I want to shout out Meg today,
hmm.
because I set much bigger goals than I wanted to. Okay, I want to do 72 deals this year. I had hit my goals last year, which I did 39. I wanted to do 40. The year before I had done 28. So it's a big increase for me, right? So this is
Right.
a
Right.
big jump. And we looked, right? And I started seeing it that it was all at the end of last year. I did almost all my business after joining MMA.
Mm.
Something like 73% of my business was done in that second half of the year, right?
Wow. Wow.
And so the last thing I'll say is this, that I needed to be accountable to myself, and that was with call stars and one other thing, a power dialer, because
Mm.
it stopped me from losing focus, right?
Yeah.
Fire comes in, you can see my office computer behind me, a fire would pop up on there in the email and everything would light up and I would want to deal with it. But when I'm in a dialer and I'm in a session, right?
You're not getting out of that session. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
It
right.
makes you push through the calls and it's like you got to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Man, that's a huge piece of encouragement because it's easy to get distracted. Even in the technology, you can get it in the loan officer CRM or through another power
Right.
dialer. It doesn't matter which one you use, but call stars is the accountability to show up, and the power dialer keeps you dialing till you get through your list.
And that was it. And
That's it.
like,
Hmm.
and look, and I'm telling you this, right? I was getting 4, 6 deals a month last year without
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
Until about December is when I kicked that into action.
Mm.
And now I have the most in my branch in a
Yeah.
month, right? And
Yeah.
I'm doing this in January, February, which is
Yeah.
typically a slower time.
Man,
So,
great stuff. Hey, let me ask you this. How many outbound calls, talk tos do you have a goal every week that you're trying to
yeah.
get to?
I thought about huge numbers but what
Yeah.
I've realized for me is that
Yeah.
it is the relationship, right? So, right,
100%.
I'm providing value by having that relationship. So
Sure.
my goal is 80 dials,
80
okay?
dials, 80 outbound calls. And out
80 a
of the
week.
80, about how many talk tos are you getting?
I average on 80 calls, I average 62 talk tos a week.
Wow, man, that
Pretty
conversion's high. That's huge.
It's yeah, so the way and I want to get my talk tos up a bit, right? And conversion a little lower because I'm still in my sphere.
Yeah.
But I learned here, right, that this isn't, I mean, yes, cold calls are part of what I do because I'm comfortable with them now, right?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
why.
Hmm.
But my focus was wrong. I thought I had to just dial these new agents.
Yeah.
Knew all these agents that know agents,
Yeah.
right? And so just by saying to them, hey, do you know anybody I might be in alignment with? Do you know
Man.
one person?
Hmm.
I'm really focused on that. Do you know
Yeah.
one person that
Yeah.
um, and so that's how I get that high conversion. And
Yeah.
from that, I've started getting these other things that were a problem with my focus before that now make sense, right? I'm now
Hmm.
doing lunches. I'm now mostly I try to keep my meetings on Zoom to keep it more effective.
Hmm.
But I'm doing lunches. I have a monthly event with a realtor where we meet with 12 realtors and we talk strategies together. I'm the only lender there. They asked me to be there because of the strategies I've learned, right? They
I
didn't
love it.
want a lender there, but because of what I've learned here and just the consistency of the theme days, like I guess what I'm getting at is I feel like, at least for me, I don't want to speak for others, I made this business so much more complicated than it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hey,
And
it's easy to do. This will be actually this month is my 24th year in the business. And I'm telling you, man, it's interesting. You get in and this industry is intoxicated with busy.
oh,
And it's like busy, busy, busy versus effective, effective, and effective. And I love the fact that you're doing a high number of calls, but those calls are designed to go deeper in relationship. And I love you said this as well. A lot of people think about prospecting as cold calls. The reality is most people have been in the business 3, 5, 10, 15 years. You don't need more cold calls. You just need a prospect with the people that are already in and around your life you just lost touch with, or stopped
right.
prospecting, or no longer top of mind. And just an awareness of that alone and being targeted to go deeper in relationship, brother, that's why you're seeing the success you're seeing. And that's huge. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
mean, I was really excited to come on and talk about that because it was a few specific disciplines
Yeah.
changed everything for me.
I
And
love it.
basically they all surround being honest with myself about what I'm really doing, right?
Yeah.
So I said I have this pen. I've got a blue pen for when I write a name down. You'll notice I write my tracker out every week and I write it, I print it out. I'll show you guys here for everyone on video. Like I know
Yeah.
the red ones I didn't contact. I have a green dot you can't really see on here for those when I asked for the business. I write it because it makes me much more honest with myself. I can turn and look, and just by the colors, I know what my week was like.
Oh, it's it. Well, and you know what it does? It takes all of the uncertainty away. It's not like, oh, I wonder if I did enough. No, the data will tell you. I either had enough calls, enough conversations, and asked for the business, or I didn't. So, hey, great stuff. Tell us, give us some closing thoughts.
Yeah, I would say this. The biggest thing for me right now, okay, so as I get this business, is making sure my next set of systems is in place. And I want to credit my branch manager on this. I just want to give him a quick shout out. Is that, as I get better,
Oh,
my capacity for doing more increases. So what do I mean
mhm.
by that? I don't need to eat the whole apple at once. I should get a better metaphor, but my point is this. Focus on the one thing ahead of you,
Mhm.
okay? We don't have to do it all at once. For me, my first thing was theme days, getting my calls up. My next thing was being accountable to myself. Am I actually doing
Mhm.
the calls I think I'm doing? After that with call stars it was, well, how do I make sure that I'm only focusing on calls, right?
Mhm.
And now for me, where I'm now averaging, like I've gotten 6 to 8 leads a week for the
Yeah.
past 3 weeks. Now it's about making sure I'm responding on time
Mhm. Yeah.
because I find that things are getting difficult. So now I can start really looking at my team and going, where are my inefficiencies? But if I
Yeah.
try to do all of it, I was making a huge mistake, and I wish
Yeah.
I could go back 4 years ago and have joined MMA earlier, if I'm being honest, but that's okay. and just looked at one thing at a time.
Yeah,
That's the
it's
one thing
great
I
advice, man. Well, because it goes. James Clear wrote a book called Atomic Habits, and in that book, he just talked about getting 1% better, 1% better, 1% better, and if you'll do that over time, the compounding effect and results of that is just life changing. And I love that, man. So for you, it was theme days, understanding there's a process to prospecting, getting accountable to actually do the activity, then removing distractions and making sure that you're focused on the one thing, which is making calls, having contacts, asking for the business. And then now it's focusing on the response and follow up. So, dude, you're right on track and you're doing everything right. So, well done, my man. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas here in the last few minutes with everyone who's listening. And so, just appreciate you.
Steve, I want to thank you so much, and to all of MMA, thank you for believing in me
Yeah.
before I believed in me. Right? You guys made my career, so really appreciate everybody. And if there's anything I can do to help another one of us level up, that's what I'm here for.
Such a great, just great conversation. I appreciate Greg and even the steps. And I just want to encourage you, if you're listening today and you feel like, man, that resonates with me, I'd love to learn more about theme days and accountability and how to remove distractions. Go to loanofficersuccess.com, fill out some information there. You'll put your name, phone number, email, fill out a question. And then myself and the team will reach out to you, tell you more about whether it's Alliance coaching, whether it's MMA Jumpstart. But there is a plan that can help you do what it is you're called to do. So, loanofficersuccess.com, loanofficersuccess.com. Check it out. And until next episode, we'll see you soon. See you.